Wade Wilson was halfway through a solo rendition of Deep in the Heart of Texas, complete with rhythmic hand claps against the steering wheel, when the universe decided to remind him that he wasn't allowed to have nice things. His 2004 black minivan, affectionately named the Tactical Toaster, despite containing zero toast and a significant amount of discarded taco wrappers, was humming along the sun-baked asphalt of Route 17. The Texas countryside stretched out in a shimmering haze of heat waves and mesquite trees. "I'm telling you, Al, the GPS says adventure, but my bladder says nearest cactus," Wade muttered to a bobblehead on the dashboard. Ka-chow! The front left tire didn't just pop, it performed a theatrical suicide. The van lurched violently to the left, heading straight for a massive ancient oak tree that looked like it had been waiting decades to kill a tourist. Wade wrestled the steering wheel with the intensity of a man fighting a grizzly bear. "Not the paint! This is custom matte black spray paint from a can I found behind a dumpster." With a screech that sounded like a choir of banshees, the van skidded into a ditch, kicking up a wall of red dust. Silence followed, broken only by the tink, tink, tink of the cooling engine. Wade stepped out, coughed out a lungful of dust, and looked at the tire. It was shredded into black linguine. "Well, that's just super. I hope whatever nail did that finds God, because I'm gonna find a jack. Oh wait, I traded the jack for a limited edition Golden Girls lunchbox. Right, good call, Wade." Wade spent the next 4 hours trying to hitchhike. He tried the classic thumb, the distressed damsel pose, and finally the "I have a gun, please stop" approach. No one passed. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the Texas sky turned a bruised, sickly purple. "Fine, I'll walk. It's good for the glutes anyway," Wade grumbled. He hiked for miles through the brush. The air grew cold, smelling of damp earth and something metallic. Just as he was about to give up and start a campfire out of his own spare socks, he saw it, a faint, flickering amber light in the distance. It was a house, a sprawling, multi-story nightmare of Victorian architecture gone wrong. It sat in a clearing like a rotted tooth in a gums of dead grass. There were no neighbors for miles. "Oh, look, a creepy house in the middle of a chainsaw murder-themed state. I'm sure they have a great Wi-Fi password and a spare tire," Wade whispered. As he crept closer, the horror movie vibes went from a 4 to a solid 11. The porch was decorated with wind chimes made of teeth? Ooh, unconventional materials. Very Etsy, Wade noted. He peeked through a grime-streaked window and saw a kitchen that looked like a crime scene that had been allowed to ferment. Then he saw him. A massive, hulking figure stepped out of the back shed. He was wearing a yellow, gore-stained butcher's apron. His face was a patchwork of cured human skin, stitched together with heavy twine. He carried a heavy mallet, swinging it rhythmically as he walked toward the cellar. "Wow," Wade breathed. "That is a commitment to the Leatherface aesthetic. Or he's just had some really bad plastic surgery. Either way, he's definitely not a fan of the clean girl TikTok trend." Wade waited for the giant to enter the cellar, then slipped through the back door. The interior smelled like a slaughterhouse in a heat wave. He wandered into the dining room and stopped. The table was set with fine china made of craniums. The chairs were upholstered in, well, Uncle Herb. "Okay, Bubba, you and I need to talk about your interior decorator. This isn't rustic chic, it's probable life sentence."
Vroom, 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 vroom.
The floorboards didn't just vibrate, they danced. A high-pitched metallic roar erupted from the kitchen. Wade spun around just as a massive rusted chainsaw blade tore through the wall beside his head, showering him in splinters. Leatherface burst through the debris, his small piggish eyes wide with a mix of fear and murderous rage. He let out a high-pitched squeal and swung the saw in a vertical arc. "Whoa, buddy, personal space!" Wade flipped backward, drawing his katanas in midair. Is this how you greet all your guests? Whatever happened to a nice howdy and a plate of brisket? Or the brisket? Leatherface didn't answer. He lunged, the saw's engine screaming. Wade parried the side of the blade with his steel, sparks flying like a 4th of July celebration in hell. You know, for a guy who spends all day cutting meat, your form is terrible. You're leaning into the swing. You'll throw your back out, and then who's going to harvest the hitchhikers? Your grandpa in the attic? I hear he's a bit immobile. Leatherface roared and shoved Wade into the dining table. The cranium china shattered. Wade grabbed a human femur from the wreckage and tucked it behind his ear like a pencil. Thanks, I needed a snack for later. The fight spilled out of the house and onto the porch. Leatherface was a whirlwind of rusted metal. He swung the saw low, catching the hem of Wade's spandex. Hey, this spandex is hand wash only. Do you have any idea how hard it is to get blood out of red? Actually, it's pretty easy, but the smell stays forever. Wade slid between Leatherface's legs, slicing upward with a katana. The blade clattered against the heavy metal plate the giant wore under his apron. Oh, you're wearing protection. Smart. Safety first. Do you also have a 401k and dental? Because those teeth on your porch suggest your family's dental plan is bull 'em and string 'em. Leatherface spun around and caught Wade with a massive, meaty fist. The blow sent Wade flying off the porch and into a pile of rusted car parts. He landed with a sickening crunch. Ow, Wade groaned, his ribs knitting back together with an audible pop squish. You've got a hell of a right hook, Bubba. You ever thought about pro wrestling? You could be the human ham. Your finisher could be the meat grinder. Leatherface jumped off the porch, landing with a thud that shook the earth. He raised the saw over his head for a finishing blow. Wait, look, is that a health inspector? Leatherface actually paused and looked. Gotcha, you big lug. Wade kicked him square in the crotch. Leatherface didn't flinch. He just looked down, then back at Wade, and let out a guttural, confused grunt. Right, no nerve endings in the boys. Note taken. You really are built like a tank. Wade realized that standard stabbings weren't going to end this. Leatherface was a juggernaut fueled by family tradition and a very limited vocabulary. As the saw came down, Wade jammed his katana directly into the engine's pull cord housing. The metal groaned, the chain snapped, and the engine died with a pathetic, smoky wheeze. "Game over, man, game over," Wade shouted, quoting Aliens because he couldn't help himself. Leatherface looked at his broken saw and let out a mournful, heartbreaking wail. He looked like a child who had just dropped his ice cream, if that child was a 300-pound cannibal in a skin mask. "Oh, don't cry, it's just a tool. We can go to Home Depot. We'll get you a DeWalt. They're yellow, they'll match your apron." But Leatherface was done playing. He pulled a massive meat hook from his belt and swung it with terrifying precision. The hook caught Wade in the thigh, pinning him to the wooden fence. Gah! Okay, that's a Texas Chainsaw classic. 10 out of 10 for nostalgia, 0 out of 10 for my leg. Wade grabbed the giant's head, looking directly into the eye holes of the skin mask. "You know, Tommy, you really need a hobby. Have you tried sourdough? Everyone's doing it." Wade pulled a grenade from his hidden pouch, pulled the pin with his teeth, and shoved it into the gaping mouth hole of Leatherface's mask. Eat lead, or whatever this is made of. Wade sliced through his own trapped leg to free himself, falling back just as the charge went off. It wasn't a fragment grenade, it was a high-intensity flashbang mixed with knockout gas. Bang! Leatherface stumbled back, blinded and choking. Wade didn't kill him, he knew a sequel was always in the works, but he did grab the heavy mallet and delivered a clean, cinematic bonk to the giant's head. Wade hobbled over to the barn, his leg already half grown back. Inside, he found a pristine, black 1970s dually truck. Jackpot! And look, it's already got a "Meat is Murder" bumper sticker. How ironic. As he drove the truck down the long dirt driveway, he looked back at the house. The lights were still on. He could see the silhouette of a very old man in a window, waving a hammer weakly. "Bye, Grandpa! Tell the family I'll send a postcard from Disney, and for God's sakes, take a shower once a decade."
Wade turned onto the main highway, the Texas wind finally feeling cool against his mask. He reached into the glove box and found a bag of beef jerky. He paused, looked at the bag, and then slowly threw it out the window. "I think I'm a vegetarian for the next 3 hours," he sighed. Bird would have loved that guy, though. They both have that "I'll eat your face, but I'm actually just lonely" energy. Wade hit the gas, leaving the massacre behind, heading toward a vacation that, hopefully, didn't involve any more power tools.